Hello, everyone. Welcome to this first session of the Ask Me session, HDSC Summer 2022 Internship. My name is Ajulo Christian. Thank you for joining me. We're glad you've already started the process of being a renowned data scientist, a data storyteller, and a data engineer. So this is just the first step. And I know most of you have lots and lots of questions. So I just want to welcome you into the first stage of the internship. So without further ado, this meeting is going to last for an hour. It's going to be interactive, but you have to drop your questions on Slido using the code. I know you've already gotten the code previously, so the code is 104147. Yeah, so before going to your questions, I would like to answer some other few questions the interns have been posting on the Slack channel. Before I say that, if you have a question and you are to ask in the Slack channel, there are previous answers to the question you have. Just do it to stroll and look at the previous messages. Yeah, so you should see that your question has already been answered. Then if you check and see that it is a unique question that has not already been answered, you can as well ask your question. So that's all. And also in the Slack channel, we do appreciate interns to collaborate with themselves other than us answering your questions. If other interns have already done something you're asking of, you can as well answer the question. Also, we also go through the question to see if it's also correct what you answered. So that's that for that. And on to those complaining about not being able to get the invites, your issues will be settled, but we'll get to that later. Then moving on to your questions on Slido. I see people already have questions. Let me take them. Yeah, people have been asking about the tag along codes. Somebody said is confused. Okay, the tag along code is just when you're taking the quiz for this stage A, there are some questions you need to answer with writing code on your Jupyter notebook or your Google Colab, whatever. So the tag along code is are the answers to the questions you are to, to the questions of the quiz you have to do on your Jupyter notebook. Then you have to upload that notebook to your GitHub profile by creating a GitHub repository and also make it a public repository, not just a private one. If it's private, we can't view it. So after uploading it to the GitHub repository, then you copy the link and paste it in the form, the assessment form. So that is the tag along code. Because without that, and you've already answered the question, your score won't be complete. So that's the issue about that of tag along codes. And to those asking about them not being able to answer the quiz, in the Slack channel, in an announcement and also the Ask Me team channel, we've dropped articles on how to take the quiz, on how to navigate the Amoye platform. These are things that are there. So the links are already there. Check your mails, the communications gotten from us. The links are there to answer questions you have. So that's that about tag along code. So if you're just joining now, just try and go on to slido.com and drop your tag along codes. So right. Then for those, these are special people, for those that the stage A hasn't started, you've already filled the assessment form. So I wonder what you guys filled there. Somebody was saying he was confused that he thought it was your GitHub profile. We didn't say anything about you submitting GitHub profile. Then the stage hasn't started yet. So that's what I'm saying. Whatever communication will pass to you, do well to go through all of them. Go through all the informations clearly. Then you get the answers to your questions. So for those, there are like 25 people or so. So it's more or less saying your tag along code is inconclusive for this stage A. And there are some consequences for that. So that's why you need to follow the right instructions. What we're saying is just like in a real life situation, probably you have a job, you're working a job, it is paramount to follow the right instructions. It's paramount to follow the right instructions. Very, very important. So moving on to the next question. Yeah, this one says, while attending to the questions, you didn't know how it's submitted. Okay, we've answered this before in the Slack channel. You need to make sure your system is in a good condition and also have a stable internet connection. And always before you start, refresh your browser. And in terms of how to save a course, we've also shared an article to that on how to take the course. All these are in your mails and in the announcement channel or even the Ask Amoye team channel. Answers are there on how to take the courses, on how to save a quiz, on how to take the quiz. So to this person, the quiz cannot be redone. It's a one situation, it's one time, it's a one attempt to the quiz. You can't just attempt it twice. So make sure you have a stable internet connection and your system is in good condition. So, but we're sorry you couldn't complete it or the thing submitted on its own from what the person says. So do it to have a stable internet connection. That's the answer to that question. Okay, this other question said, please, can we have the timetable alongside so we can plan ahead? And you can check your Hamoye handbook. It's in one of the previous mails we sent to you. The guides on how to know the structure of the internship. The informations are in your Hamoye handbook. It's there. So do well to check that. And also, if you still have further questions, you can still post it on the Slack channel. We'll answer for you. Then this person has a question concerning the quiz. Concerning the quiz, am I expected to answer question 1 to 10 after submission, then move to the data set on GitHub for the second part? Okay, this would be like, okay, I should also give you the info though. When you're in the quiz, I'm not going to say which number or which number. In the quiz, there are some questions you have to answer writing codes. There's a data set provided to you. Before you start taking the quiz, go through there's a test that says quiz resources. Click on that text, you see the info on how to answer the quiz. Data set, the link to the data set is there. Go there, download the data set before you start the quiz. So it's not as if it's a two-part thing. The quiz are one, both from number 1 to the end. Then after you're done, as you're answering the quiz, you are writing your codes in Jupyter Notebook or Colab, whatever platform you like to choose. So after that, once you're done with the quiz, you click on submit. After submitting, you fill the assessment form. You can as well organize your code. That's possible to organize your code, fill the assessment form, and submit. Make sure to fill the correct details because you can only fill the form once. If you filled a wrong Amoye ID or your email is not correct, it's detrimental to you because you can't start scrambling about and looking for your codes and all that. Make sure you submit the right information. So that's the answer to that. So the quiz is not just in a two-phase, both of them are together. You are answering some questions and you're answering some questions with writing code. So You have to submit everything, your notebook, you submit the quiz, put your notebook in a GitHub repository, a public one so you can access it. Then you submit the link in the assessment form. So that's for that question. I've already answered this. Someone is asking about where do we get the tag along codes. And also, I forgot to say this in the beginning. These Ask Me sessions, they are not compulsory. So attendance will be taken for this. They are not compulsory. So it's just a means to ask your questions. We'll unblock the question for you, your suggestions and all that. So they are not compulsory. We are not taking attendance for this. And it will be a recurring session, Mondays and Fridays. So it's just a way to answer your questions. And also you can still be ask the question on Slack channel, excuse me. You can ask your questions on Slack channel. So these Ask Me sessions are recurring sessions, Mondays and Fridays. So that is that. Then where do we get the tag along code? I've already explained this. The tag along code, I'll still say it again, are the answers to the quiz. In the quiz, there are some sessions you need to write code. I want to reiterate this thing. There are some sessions you need to write code. That is your tag along code. Without the tag along code, your submission for stage A is not complete and there is grave consequences for that. So I'll reiterate on that again. Okay. This one says, in the study groups, is it the responsibility of the interns in a particular group to schedule and collect a video meeting? Okay. There's no responsibility of you conducting a video meeting or whatever way you want to go about it. In the study group, it's just like a way of asking questions, collaborating with your interns. You can find a way to collaborate with your interns in the Slack channel. You can send them messages. Also in the Ask Amoye team, you can ask message. We are not talking about, there's no responsibility. There's just a way to ask yourself questions and unblock others that are having issues. So that's just that about the study groups. Then another question says, are we meant to give the GitHub code a particular title like our names, or we can give it any title? You can give it any title so far you submit the right info. For example, your GitHub profile should be your name. At least that's the standard way. Your GitHub profile should be your name. The repository, you can name it HDSC stage A or whatever way you want to name it. Then when you are submitting it, submit your email. You see the info on the assessment form, your right email, your student ID, then the link to hosting, the Jupyter notebook, that's the GitHub repository where the notebook is. So you can name it whatever way, but the best way, since your GitHub profile is your name, you can name it HDSC stage A. That's the name of the Jupyter notebook. That's the IPYNB notebook. So give it any title, but the title should be like generic, should be something you can understand. So far, your details are correct. That is not an issue about that. Okay. Please, just journey, do where to drop your questions on Slido. And for this session is not compulsory, so we're not taking attendance. Somebody is still asking that question. We'll not be taking attendance. Then I also saw there's a question on Slack. I saw a person was complaining that in the quiz data set, she couldn't read it. Okay, the way to read it, she was having a Unicode error. Something else I'm about to tell you. If you're working on Jupyter Notebook or Colab and you're having errors, you see that just try to read the error, because once you've run a code and showing error, it will surely tell you the type of error. The best way to handle this, that error you saw, just go on Google and type it. You will see solutions on that. There are lots of resources online. There's Stack Overflow, there's Geeks for Geeks. Just type it. Like for that, she said she had a Unicode error. If you go on Google and type error, Unicode error, you see solutions. And to that, I'll tell you the solution. Since you are reading your data sets, you're having input error. When you're reading it, add this value called encoding and make the value of the encoding Latin 1. Just like reading your CSV, then you put encoding equals to Latin 1. So that's how to go about that. When you run it, you see your code will run. I've also answered that on the Slack channel, so I just remember to say it here. So please keep your questions coming on Slido. You can also ask on YouTube here. Says yeah, so and also I noticed the interns. I know to some that are not beginners, this stage might be easy, so they just finished it within one day. You don't need to be in a rush. You can also take your time, go through all the text. The one you don't understand, you can also go online and research on it further. What is the pandas, how to do the data visualization, how to read CSV, Matplotlib and all that. Just go online and do more research on it. Then when you feel you are comfortable and confident to attempt the quiz, of course, why not go ahead and attempt the quiz? But this I'm talking to beginners. So don't be discouraged when you see on the Slack channel that some people are already done with their with their stage A. I saw somebody saying, stage A just started which day, and somebody's already done with the quiz. So don't be discouraged. You can just take your time because it's 2 weeks, but our advice, don't take too much of your time getting to the end of when the stage will end before you have to submit. It doesn't end well because that will be rushed. Everybody will be rushing, and then you might have issues submitting your code or your quiz submitting on its own. So to avoid rush, take your time, but don't take too much time towards the ending. So that's for stage A, because this is a fast-paced internship, I assure you. Because you might see stage A is easy for some. When getting to other stages, it might be difficult. So take your time, understand better. And to other people asking if it's a video text, we don't have any live classes or video materials. They are all text materials. And also there are some code snippets to guide you along on what and how to do it. So that's about that. It's test materials. You can also do more research on your own, because somebody was saying she doesn't understand fully. So I just gave her a guide on how to do it. You can go online and say, okay, there's this term. I don't understand what it stands for. The materials you saw there, probably you don't understand fully. You can go online and search for more other resources. You can ask your questions too on Slack. We'll guide you on what to do. You answer your questions. So these are ways of improving. There's something they say about developers. Developers, even a senior developer, still ask Google questions. So that's one of the skills of a developer. You must be a good, should I say, a good Googler. You must have a good research skill. Go online, resources are much, you will see your answers. So that is that. Then there's a question here. Is there any placement after completion of the internship? If there's any placement after the completion of the internship. If you fully complete the internship with all your deliverables, attend the compulsory seminars, you get your certificate, we'll add it to what we call the Hamoye Fellows. You'll be a part of the Hamoye Fellows, and most times we do share opportunities to our Hamoye Fellows with our partners when they're looking for interns. So that's the opportunity and the benefit you have being a Hamoye Fellow. I don't know if you understand. So if you meet all the criteria at the end of the internship, you get your certificate and you'll be added to the Hamoye Fellows. So with time to time, we do share opportunities to our Hamoye Fellows. So that will be the answer to that. For those asking about not seeing an invitation mail, the info has already been passed in the announcement channel. Have 4 different categories. Look for the category you belong to. Some you have not confirmed your email. the major one we're having issues are those that are already enrolled before the stage started and of which you didn't say you should do. You said you wait for the information, would invite you to start to the stage. So those are saying they've not seen invitation tickets as of now. You belong to that category. If otherwise, go to the announcement channel. There are several pinned messages there. You get the answers and you know which category you belong to. Since you've discovered the category you belong to, send us a mail or ask a question on Slack. We'll surely answer you. So that's for that question. Another question says, okay. Yes, of course. There's something I forgot to add. In each stages, we do recognize the top interns in each stages. Yes, that's the tradition we have. We recognize the top interns. So it's not just by you rushing to do what you have to do. Make sure you have answered the right questions on your quiz. Your tag along codes is the right answers. You wrote it well. You attend the seminars. So this will give you maximum points. So at the end of each stages, we recognize the top interns for a particular stage. So that's one of the benefits also being in Hammer internship. We recognize each interns in each stages. Then somebody asked about the 60%. Okay, for each stages, even if in your quiz you have 60% or less than that, you can also continue to the next stage. The 60% for you to get your certificate, that your Hammer fellow certificate, is a combination of all the stages from stage A to the end. Then once you do all the calculation, we see that you have at least from 60%. That is when you are qualified to have the certificate, not just for a particular stage. It's an addition of all the stages. We'll grade everything together and give you your score. So if you have above 60%, you surely have a certificate. And apart from you answering all the stages and getting all the quiz and all, if your deliverables are not complete, your tag are not code, you attending webinars, because when you attend webinars, there are scores attached to it. If peradventure in a particular stage, you have issues in your tag along code, I'm sorry to tell you, you might not get your certificate. So that's why you need to follow the informations and the instructions clearly, so that at the end of the day, you don't come back and tell us that you didn't do this, you didn't get your stuff. So make sure you have your tag along codes for each stages. You submit your assessment form, you complete the quiz, you attend webinars, and also when the project stage starts, you be a part of a team and be active in the team, not just a floor member, and be active. So all these deliverables together amount to the 60% at the end of the internship. So if there's a particular stage you didn't meet up the requirements, I'm sorry, you might not get your Hammer certificate. Okay, let me answer this question. No, for this session, like I said, for this session, the Ask Me sessions are not compulsory. They are not compulsory. It's just a way to answer your questions. But the sessions that are compulsory are webinars. We will give you the info. So just always keep your eye on your mail and the announcement channel, or also the Ask Hammer Team channel on Slack. And there are sometimes we pin messages. Do well to check the pinned messages on Slack. And always read. We take our time to send you mails. So sometimes, like some people, they don't go through their mail, just skim through it, and at the end of the day, still asking the same question. Always follow. Once you follow the instructions, go through the mails, the instruction pass on Slack. I'm not sure you have an issue. You don't have any issues. So that is for that. And whatever thing you have to do, we'll always tell you. So there's no need for you to be in a rush or trying to do something like those that already submitted their assessment form when the stage hasn't started. There are like 25 of them. So there's grave consequences for that, and there's no solution for that, because you can only submit that form for each stage once. once you've submitted it and you have errors in whatever your submission is, sorry, it is null and void. So make sure whenever you are submitting any form in Amoye or doing anything, go through the instructions carefully, ask your questions on the Slack channel. That's the way we can help you. And also, if when you're asking your questions on the Slack channel, there are some questions that have already been answered. Do wait to go through the chats, the messages on the channel. I know they might be too much, but try and go through it. If at the end of the day you didn't see your possible question there or they've not answered it, you can ask. So instead of, and sometimes there are some answers we've already pinged on the channel. So just check the pinged messages in each channel to know if the question you want to ask have already been answered. If not, you can always ask your question and we can answer. And also, we encourage, like I said before, we encourage collaboration between interns. That's why there's study groups in the platform. Even on Slack too, you can ask questions for the interns that are already done or have the solution to that before the Amoye team answering that. You can also answer. Then we too will check and see if the answers we provided were correct. You will notice there's a reaction to it, a thumbs up reaction. So you can collaborate within yourself, even if the Amoye team hasn't answered you, an intern that has an answer to that, you can just provide the solution. And also, Google is always your friend. You can do your research and all that. So, moving on to the next question. Okay, somebody is still asking about the tag along code. I want to start this again. It's like I'll pin this. I've already pinned this message on the Slack channel. The tag along code is not like the way you guys are putting tag along code like a different project. This is the answers to the questions in the quiz. In the quiz, there are some questions that will require you to write codes. That's why before you answer the quiz, there's a section there there's a text there that said instructions on how to answer the quiz on the platform. Go through it, you see that there's a link for you to download the particular data set. So meaning in that quiz, you have to write your code. So as you're answering the quiz is majorly 60 minutes. Also in Slack, and we've also shared an article on how to save your questions when you're answering a quiz. So you can save them. Then as you're writing your code, go to your Jupyter Notebook or your Colab, Google Colab, whatever platform, and write the codes to the questions. Then you answer. Then once you are done, submit. First of all, submit your quiz. As you submitted, you can organize your notebook, upload it on GitHub. If you don't have a GitHub account, okay, let me explain. If you don't have a GitHub account, just go on Google, type GitHub. The process is easy. And just go online, type GitHub, create your profile. It will link to your email. You are good to go. That's easy. Then you see steps on how to create a repository. Then after that, you upload. There are steps on how to upload. You see the options. It's a nice platform. It's easy to access. So you upload it, copy the link to the repository, hosting your code. That's your Jupyter Notebook or your Colab notebook, your IPYNB. Then open your assessment form, fill all your details completely. When you are done, you submit your form. There was somebody complaining that its questions didn't save. We've already posted an article on how to save your answers to your quiz if you're not done. But even if you are saving it, mind you, the timer is still running down. It's not as if you are saving, the time will stop. It does not stop. The timer will still keep on running down. So that's for that. So that is the tag along code. I hope that person understands now. So looking at all the questions. Tools to speed up my performance. Yeah, somebody was talking about not having a laptop, if there's a solution to that. Okay, there's something I discovered. Google Colab, you can actually use it on your Android phone. Yes, as far as you have a Google account. Once you log into Google Colab, you can log into Google Colab on your phone and you run codes, it will work. Because in this stage currently, you're not doing heavy running that will slow down your RAM or others. You can run your codes if you are using your phone, your Android phone. You can run your codes on Google Colab. Yes, it works. So that's for that person saying he doesn't have a laptop, but we advise moving forward, you need a good working laptop or a desktop system, whichever one. So, but for you now that are saying you have just your Android phone, you can do this with Google Colab on your phone. Just log on to Google Colab, go online, type it, you get to Google Colab. It will run on your phone. Yes. So that's for that question. Yeah, for this stage A, there are only 3 lessons. Yes, I've answered that before on the Slack channel. There are only 3 lessons. I don't know, it's like the person was expecting to see more. So don't worry, with time, since you want more, with time, you get more, you see the heat of it. So, but there are just 3 lessons. It's just like if you notice everybody in this stage A, they're in the same track. Before the start of stage B, you receive info from us on how to select your different tracks. If you attended the onboarding session, you know that we have different tracks. We have the data science track, the data storytelling track, the data engineering track, and of recent, we have the DevOps track. So before the end of stage A or before you start stage B, we'll tell you, we'll send info to you, then you select your tracks. And also somebody was asking how to know the track. We cannot do that selection for you or tell you what to do or how you want to do it. It's best for you to, since you already know the different tracks we're offering, go online. After this stage A, go online and browse on the different tracks, that the data science, data storytelling, what is data engineering. So you see the one you can be capable of doing or you are enthusiastic of doing. So we'll not be the one to tell you this or that. So it will be your choice. We're only going to tell you these are the tracks available. So research. So you see the one you're interested in. Then when that time comes, you select the track. So that's for that. But in this stage A, everybody is doing the stage A, and there are 3 lessons there. There's data visualization, pandas, and all that. So I hope that's an answer to that particular person's question. Okay, someone is saying, what about problems that might occur while attending live webinar, like network issues? Okay, we know definitely you might have network issues. So I don't think there's anything we can do about that. Just try to be in a place that have a stable network connection. But when it's time for webinars that are important for you to attend, we'll let you know. All webinars are important, but this Ask Me session is not a compulsory one. It's just for you to come and ask your questions and the issues you might have. So that's just that. And also try and plan ahead because it's important. You cannot say you have network issues and there's nothing you can do. For example, you can't log in or you're having network issues. You'll be marked absent and there's a penalty for that because there are scores attached to these webinars that are important. It's part of the grading system. So do well to plan ahead. If you don't have a stable network where you are, go to where you have stable networks. That's just part of the sacrifices you need to do to learn because you have to be enthusiastic. You have to feel the joy of learning. Nobody's about to pressure you to do this. It's your joy learning it. So I can't say more than that about that. Okay, so another question says, okay, about this seminar. No, it won't be deleted. It's recorded. We'll tell you more about that after the end of this session, if you can get the video or not. So you can go on to Slido and ask your questions. The code is 1041472. 1041472. Right. I think I've answered this question before about tag along code. Okay, someone is asking if you create a new repository each time you submit a tag along code, or will one repository be enough? Okay, I would advise, I'll give you two options, which is perfect. I would advise that you create with each stage of the quiz you are submitting. I would advise that you create a new repository and submit your notebook. Yes. Or if you just want to organize them in a single repository, make sure they are labeled appropriately and you copy the right link. For example, since you are dropping a Jupyter notebook, you can open the notebook on your repository and copy the link above, then submit. If your notebook is in one repository, make sure you copy the right link. You can open the notebook on your GitHub and copy the link of the notebook you've opened. But I advise that you create new repository for each. And also, it's a good way of making your GitHub profile have more commits, making your GitHub profile look more bigger, because sometimes these are what different organizations check your GitHub account if you are very active. So by you creating new different repositories, you are committing to your profile. So you see, when you created this one, you have one repository, you have a second repository. So it will add to your presence on your GitHub profile. So I would advise that you create new repo for each stages you have to submit your codes. So I think I've answered that question. Then there's another question here. How do you know if you are present? No, this session, like I said before, it's not compulsory for this particular session. For other webinars, we'll tell you, you know how you mark your attendance or whatever. So when you get to that time, you know whatever thing you are doing, you always be told on what to do. So that's why I say always pay attention to the instructions on the Slack channel, on your email, attentively. Don't just go about doing what you feel like doing. Or probably for previous interns that have been in previous cohorts, you think that's a recurrence. Some things might change. So always follow the laid down principle and instruction. Somebody was asking if he's just going to submit the collab notebook or the GitHub. The instruction stated that you have to submit your GitHub repository. So if, for example, you're just submitting a link to your Google Colab because it's online too, and everything you answered is correct, that is null and void because you didn't do the right process. You're just giving us a link to your code on Google Colab because Google Colab is online. So what we say is that if you did your code on Google Colab, you can save it as an IPYNB folder, because once you save it, anything you're working with in a notebook, the name of the format is IPYNB. Once you save it, go and upload it on your GitHub profile. Don't send us link. If you are working with Google Colab, don't send us the link of your notebook, which is on your Colab. It is null and void. It won't be graded. Follow the later instructions. Create a GitHub profile if you don't have one. Create a new repository. Name it where you can use your name. Then the notebook, you can just say stage A, tag along code or whatever. Then make sure you submit the assessment form with your right details. If you miss your HAMOYO ID, is just like saying you did submit your tag along code. If you dropped an email that is not recognized on our database or the one you're not using, registering on the platform, we'll say like they say, or you're on your own. So then always make sure you submit the right details, because because about the question about saying you have not received your invitation, there are some people that created multiple accounts and the one they submitted not the one they used in registering when they started their application. So, meaning when we started, we sent out invitation to everybody, meaning that invitation went somewhere and you are giving us, you are logging in with another account that you didn't submit. So do well to follow and know exactly what you use in registering, what you use in submitting your form. Then people that did that, you see, they don't have issues currently. So please try and follow the right form. We can't stress this enough, because if you don't follow all the steps, it is to your detriment. And there's another question here. It says, after completing the quiz and the tag along code, must we fill the form within the 60 minutes, or can we fill the form anytime within the 2 weeks of the period? After completing the quiz, it's not compulsory you submit the quiz during the 60 minutes. Submitting the quiz, if you don't submit the quiz and things submit on your own, somebody was saying something like that he left it and he didn't save the answers and the thing submitted and got a low score. Once you are done writing your code and you've answered the question, click on submit first. Submit your quiz. As you've submitted your quiz, then go on to the form, click on it, then you fill the form and submit. And also you can do this within the 2 weeks, of course, before the stage ends or elapses. But we advise you that you do it on time, because if you don't do this on time, it's also to your detriment. Because if you're on the platform, you might have issues of saying the thing didn't work out or your internet has issues. So it's not compulsory that within the 60 minutes you fill the form. Within that 60 minutes is allocated for your quiz. As you're done with the quiz, you click on submit. After you submitted it, then you go to the form, you fill the form, the assessment form, then you submit your deliverables. That is it for that question. I hope I've answered that question completely. Then there's another question. Okay, there's no other question yet. Okay, we've elapsed 42 minutes. We're left with like 18 minutes for this section. And also, if those are not online, you can also ask your questions on the Slack channel. We're happy to help. We're happy to answer you. Your fellow interns too can still help. We'll review it. If you're on track, we'll give you a reaction, thumbs up. If you notice I've given some people some thumbs up. Anywhere you're having issues, always ask your questions. Don't do things on your own, and at the end of the day, you committed blunder. It is to your detriment. So please always follow instructions. Ask your questions. Before you ask questions, do well to read messages that are already been posted in the channel. Sometimes the frequently asked questions are pinned in each channel, Slack channel. Go and search. You know how to go around Slack. I don't know. I can't start explaining to you how to operate Slack. Go to the pinned messages. Read through it. Probably what the question you have has already been answered. Or you go through the messages. Somebody have already answered that question before. If not, if it's a different question, do well to ask or answer. And also, yeah, I forgot to say this. We've said it times and times. Do not send message to us to our DMs, direct message. We will not reply it. Always ask your questions in the right channel. Ask our team channel. Your questions will be answered. And also, you can send us an email. You know the right mail to send to help@amoye.io. Send your email there. So don't send us DMs. We won't reply. If you notice everybody sending DMs, you will not be getting reply. This is a way to help other interns that might have the same question you're asking. So please ask your questions in the Ask Amoye Team channel, not our DMs. We won't reply you. Thank you for that. I'm seeing somebody saying you can't send questions if you're having internet issue. Of course, if you can't send your questions on Slido or on the YouTube channel, you can as well ask a question on Slack. We'll surely answer you. That's not an issue. Okay, somebody is saying Somebody is saying if you don't submit your quiz within the 60 minutes, it's best, we advise that it's best you save your answers. We shared resources. This resource is in the Ask Harmony team channel and also the announcement channel. There's an article there. Read it, you know how to save a particular quiz. Go to the Slack channel. There are different articles we dropped on how to answer quiz, how to save your quiz, how to save your answers. But mind you, as you are saving it, your time is still running. It does not mean that you've paused the time. Your time is still running. And also, it is a one attempt. You don't do it. It's not like the individually placed like the collab and version control gates that you can answer 24 hours later. No, it's a one attempt. So as you are saving your answers, the timer is still running. It's not as if you've saved, you pause the time. No, you can't do this. Is not if you can't pause the time, it will still be running. So try as much as possible as I answer you can save your answers. Read the article, you know how to save your answers. Then you come back, finish your listening before your quiz before the time elapses. So that's that. You can't lose the one you've already saved. No. If you follow the right procedure on that article, it's stated in that article. All these questions that are asking, they are principles and procedures you've already laid down about the structure of the internship is in your handbook. Check our previous mails. You see the link to your Hamoye handbook. Read it, go through it, because there are some infos you just drop and overlook. We do well to send you infos and emails. You don't read it. Read it carefully. Don't be in a rush. Make sure you do the right thing. So these questions really have answers to it. You can as well ask, of course, we'll answer, but if you're asking a question continuously, reoccurring, that you've answered multiple times, you'll get answer to it. So we'll assume that you've already gone through the previous messages and see your answers. So that's just it. And for those that can't join currently, if somebody is saying having network issues, you can post your questions on Slack. We'll answer them later after the session. Also, yes, very important. Whenever you're sending us a question on our email, do well to add your Hamoye ID, because if you're saying you have an issue, we have thousands of intents. You can't start searching around and seeing how to solve your issue. Always drop your name, the mail, and your Hamoye ID, the right one you used in applying. Then from there, we can find a solution to your question. In fact, moving forward, anytime you're asking a question on sending us an email, do well to include your Hamoye ID. It's very, very important. Very, very important. And also, if you are filling the assessment form, you can only fill it once. You cannot fill it more than once. So do well to calm down and copy. If you are copying your ID from your profile, copy it and paste. Copy the link to your code and paste. Write the right email and whatever thing details in the form and submit. Because if you submit wrong details, it is more or less saying what you did is null and void. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So still don't have further questions. Time is almost running. So to those that are in attendance of this session, thank you very much for attending. I hope I've answered your questions. I hope I've answered your questions. Okay, I don't see any questions here. Right. Okay, somebody is asking a question. Can we say Harmony only cater for top interns? Okay, I'll answer this question like this. Well, in every situation in life, okay, let me just say organization. It's not as if we cater for only top interns. I'm just telling you, for each stage, this is like a way of encouraging you to research more and do more. In each stage, we recognize the top interns in each stage. Get my point? In each stage. Then, if you deliver all the deliverables, at the end of the internship, you get your Harmony Fellows certificate. You'll be added to the Harmony Fellows. And from time to time, we do share resources to our Harmony Fellows in terms with if our partners have job opportunities or whatsoever. So that's the benefit of being a Harmony Fellow. You get first-hand access to whatever resources we have. So that's the benefit of being a Harmony Fellow. And for you to be a Harmony Fellow to get the certificate, you have to complete all the requirements. Even if you skipped one in a particular stage, I'm sorry, you might not get it. So that's why you have to follow the laid down instructions. So the person saying if we only recognize the top interns, I'm talking about a particular stage. With each stages, we recognize the top interns. I'm just giving you a rundown. So that's what it's like an advice or a way to cheer you up to do more and make sure you answer the right questions. So that's just it. Like you've rightly answered, I've explained this before. At the end of the internship, you get your certificate and be added to the Harmony Fellows. So, and also even before that, during the course of the internship, the materials are quite good enough to give you a start to be a data scientist or a data engineer or a data storyteller. So, but there's a word that says what you are doing is what's doing well. So make sure you get all the requirements and get your certificate. It's not as if you are wasting your time doing something at the end of the day, you didn't get your certificate because you failed something or you didn't do a particular thing. Do it to follow all the process and instructions. You get it. So that's the answer to that. Yes, at each stage, the top intern, yes, is recognized and awarded monetary award. So you should know that's a good thing, like a form of motivation. So if you're a top intern for a particular stage, you'll be recognized, we'll post it on our social media platforms, and you'll be awarded monetarily. Yes, that's it. What kind of recognition per stage? This is exactly what we're saying. If you have a higher score, I don't know how to explain this more. You submitted your code, your quiz, your deliverables are right, you wrote the right code and all that. You will do our gradings, and at the end of the day, you see our top intern. How do I skate through this GitHub code stage, please? I'm unable to fill the assessment form. If you're unable to fill the assessment form, it means that you filled it before. That's just the answer to your question. It means you filled it before. That's the answer to your question. You have a GitHub account. I don't know if you're just joining, I've explained it before. You have a GitHub account. You create a repository. Your Jupyter notebook or your Collab notebook in which you use in answering the quiz, that's the code. Upload it on your GitHub repository. There's a way for you to upload it. It's there on the platform of your GitHub. You should see it. If you don't know, just Google it. You'll see how to upload to your GitHub. That's why you did the prerequisite course, the version control with Git. You can use version control. So all these things you're asking means you didn't go through the prerequisite course. We did all this so that it will be easy for you going forward in the internship. So it's like some people didn't complete it or they didn't do the course. So all these questions you're asking means you didn't do the version control with Git prerequisite course. All these things are there on how to version of code, upload or whatever. So that's the answer to that. So we're coming to the end of this session. I hope I've answered all your questions. I hope I've answered all your questions. And if you still have more questions, you can always ask on the Slack channel. So thank you very much. Almost come to the end of this session. And like I said, this session is a recurring session. It's continuous Mondays and Fridays. It's not part of the compulsory session. It's a session to answer your questions. So if I haven't answered your questions now, you can go to the Slack channel. Before I go, somebody's asking how are we supposed to fill the assessment form? Since if you can't access the assessment form, it means you filled it before the stage. That means you are part of the 25 persons that filled it before the stage started. So I don't know what we are filling in the form. So it means if you can't access that form, means you filled it before. And I'm sorry that has passed. Your tag along code has passed. That's that to that question. I've already answered that before. So those are consequences of you not following the right procedures. Stage has not started, you've already filling form. Why would you be filling the form? You don't know the instructions to it. What did you fill? The code, no quiz, no nothing. So you can only access it once. So I'm sorry about that. So we've come to the end of this session. Thank you very much for joining. If you have other questions, always ask on the Slack channel what you don't understand, the materials and all that. And there's announcement channel. Yes, you can have access to the prerequisite course. It is individually placed. You have access to it. It's there. It's not like each stage is that once you've ended it, you can't get it. So that's why it's called individually placed. You can have access to the courses. So that's that. So thank you very much for joining me. Yeah, my name is Christian. You already know me on Slack channel. So do wait to ask your questions on the Slack channel, and also pay attention to your emails. Please pay attention to your email and also the announcement channel. There are different answers to the question you might have. So follow the instructions carefully. Whatever mail you receive for us, follow it carefully. We can't say this enough. So thank you very much for joining me from the HDSC HQ team. Goodbye.